Welcome into Command Center Training Camp Live. This is a live look at Ashburn, Virginia, where the Commanders are in week 2 of training camp, gearing up for the first preseason game against the New England Patriots. We've got a big show on deck, and we got the fan live cam in the building. The fans is getting loud, turning up for the best Commanders show in the world. Welcome in, Command Center family. I got 2 future Hall of Famers right here, Brian Mitchell and London Fletcher. I got a Ring of Fame honoree in Santana Moss. And I got Fred Smoot right here.
Right.
Hey,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You like it? Yes, man. There we go. Smooth. Well, they're doing all this hate. And no, they're not booing. They are saying Smooth. The fan favorite in the building. Fellas, it is great to be here live at training camp. Preseason is here.
Yeah.
We are just days away from seeing our Commanders take that field against the New England Patriots. How y'all feeling, man?
Feeling good about it. I want to see the big boys work. That's the whole thing about the whole training camp and the first game for me. I want to see the guys in the trenches go out there and do their job because they will depict what everybody else get done.
Yeah, you know, at this point time in the training camp, you're tired of going against your teammates. You're excited to know that you get another opponent that you get to go against. I know the coaching staff and the front office, they're excited to see what this new Commanders team look like. The 2025 version of this team looks like. And we love to see Jaden Daniels. Who want to see Jaden Daniels, man?
Yeah. I always love just getting ready for that week for that first preseason game. I get tired of seeing the same dudes, hearing Smoot talk all the smack on the field. You know what? Go line up against somebody else, Smoot. I'm tired of seeing you, but I look forward to seeing those guys playing against somebody, just having some real competition out there. You know?
I'm looking forward to the practices versus the New England Patriots more than I am the football game. I think the coaches get to install a lot. I think they get to see more competition when it's at the practices compared to a preseason game, London.
But the thing about the preseason game is you want to see your young guys, your back of the roster type guys, see how they perform under game-like situations because it's a lot of guys knowing, hey, this is my opportunity to make a ball club. So preseason means a lot for your back of the roster type guys.
And Commanders family, we are missing one of our best, Logan Paulson. He is standing by with Coach. Before we go, Fred, the way you talk smack, bro, when you get joint practices, what was that like for you? Because I know you're going out there trying to make a name.
No. Like Santana said, you're going against your teammates so much, they get redundant, they get repetitive. When you're going against somebody else, now we get to yap a little bit. Now we get to have what I call verbal warfare. Now I get to sharpen my knife. And then, that's one of the things that I think a lot of athletes do. They use verbal warfare to get you off your game.
Are you turning it up a little bit, knowing somebody like you, right? Probably not getting a lot of preseason reps. This is your really first time to kind of touch somebody. Are you turning it up a little bit?
I'm turning it all the way up, and that's when I need my compadre D Hall to come, because I know he'll start a fight with me, and things go. We'll have a little fun while we do it.
See, the teammates know Fred is just full of it.
Right.
People get,
they don't know.
They get irritated. They're like, this dude don't ever stop talking. They get irritated by it.
And mentioning Fred's compadres, Fred's best friend, Logan Paulson, is standing by with our head coach, Dan Quinn. Logan, you got it, brother. It's time for Built for This, presented by Clark Construction, the official construction partner of the Washington Commanders.
Coach, we're kind of getting in the dog days at camp here. How do you keep the guys motivated, and what's your role in that?
Well, at the top of it, competition, man. And that's what we're looking for, your best against my best and see what that can go. So as the coach, what I'm looking for, can they stay in it for the execution? And can they stay in it for the effort and the finish? And so when you talk about standards coming out to practice, in a lot of other sports, they play way more than they practice. With us, we practice way more than we play. So think of this time as coming out and performing.
And then I got a question. So, obviously, when you say standard, I immediately think of, Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz. What can those guys kind of inform a good practice day and make sure, this is how we do it to stay focused?
Yes, and sometimes just that model, of somebody, they don't even have to say it. They just have to be it. And so, for instance, for Wags or Vaughn or Zach, none of them were brought here to coach, but they is a standard of performing, and that's a big deal. And so back and forth competition helps too. There's a winner and a loser in this drill. And so, what it's like, man. You like competing. It's why, NFL players are different. They're not normal people. And so, competition is part of that. And so anytime you throw a little gas on the fire, it doesn't take long to, elevate that.
Love a little gas on the fire. And coming up this week is the first joint practice. how do you make sure the work's productive? Because I always think about my time as a player, and it's like you have one good practice, then you get in a fight, and then you practice by yourself anyway. So how do you make sure that that's going to be good quality work, and like what can you get out of a joint practice that you can't get out of a regular practice?
Yeah. Well, you work backwards. What can you get that's different looks, different players? So, okay, when you're a tight end, okay, I know this D end. I know what to do. Now I got to, okay, what's he like? And so that helps. It tests your technique. Where am I at? How's that going? And then as far as the joint practice goes, I'm glad that we're doing it with Mike. It's somebody I've known for a long time. He and I both have already said, man, there's no BS here. And so we won't have it, and they won't, we won't. Like, we're literally going there to get better. And anything that would take away from that, like, we're not down for that. So we're taking our show on the road and see how good we can get, and like going against them, and we're pumped to do that.
That's awesome, Coach. Good luck today. Can't wait to watch it. Yeah, appreciate it.
Shout out to Logan Paulson and our fearless leader, head coach Dan Quinn. This is a live look out at practices. Somebody's back right now, but it's the only time you can get live looks like this is on Command Center when we do these special live shows. And fellas, that defense has been cooking all training camp, so it's time to cook. Let's Cook, presented by Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Washington Commanders. Now, London, like I said, the defense has been going crazy, so of course we got to start with our future Hall of Famer right there. It's usually all about the offense when you see this, the highlight plays and things like that, man. But how refreshing is it to see our Commanders' defense make play after play and get all that love?
Yeah, it's very refreshing because if you look at, hey, what was kind of the area you want to improve on this football team from a year ago, obviously the offensive line, maybe upgrade a little bit there, but the defense, and especially on the defensive back end, can we get some guys that can get their hands on the ball? And they went out and made a concerted effort to get better on the back end. You drafted Trey Amos. You hope you get a healthy Marshawn Lattimore and some of the guys they brought in, bringing in a Jonathan Jones, who I think is a very underrated signing. I'm excited to see, and I'm excited to see how Mikey Sanders still has played so far in training camp, been intercepting a bunch of balls. The defensive backs, they've been on lockdown. They get challenged each and every day by this offense and the weapons that we have at receiver.
And B, as our resident cook, right? Yes, you are an offensive guy. However, you know what it's like when you start seeing that defense making plays. How does that get the offense up when the defense is on point?
Well, they know they got a challenge. They got a hell of a challenge up there. For us, I look back to like 1991 when you got a top-rated offense and a top-rated defense. When you get in the game, it's relatively easy. What has happened so far this year, you can see those big guys up front are getting a lot of pressure, which makes those quarterbacks throw the ball a little quicker than they want to. They hold on to it a little bit more. Now those corners can play up tight. But I'm getting excited about this week because whether you want to admit it or not, you get used to what's going on.
You know
if you're going against a defense, you're going against an offense all the time, you know what they're doing. Now they don't know. You're going to find out which guys actually can look at the film and bring that, translate that to the football field. Like Mikey has been on point. I love the fact that young kid has already taken a step. You can tell how confident he is out there. He's a leader and being a young guy. We talk about Jaden. He's exactly like Jaden. But now they are going to be going against other people doing things they're not accustomed to, and you will see where the reaction comes from.
In London, B mentions a good point. Mikey Sanderson, a year two guy. We talk a lot about Jaden, but there's other year two guys trying to make a name for themselves. Mikey Sanderson has done that in this camp. How important is that for him to take that next step after such a strong rookie year, to really take that step because he's not a rookie no more?
Yeah, typically you have your biggest jump from your rookie year to your second year in the National Football League, and you think about it during your rookie year, you've been going through the draft process for so long. Your head is swimming. You're trying to get everything situated from a living standpoint, getting used to your teammates, your scheme, all that type of stuff. Now he's had a full season under the NFL, and he just also had a full off season, so he can really hone in. You'll see he'll understand the nuances better of the defense. Speaking of second year, Joe Witt Jr., the defensive coordinator, he's also in his second year as a defensive coordinator. He understands the guys he has. He understands who can do what a lot better. And they've done some things. They've tweaked the front and how they call things and how they have the techniques they do. But they also have added personnel that fit perfect to what he wants to do schematically.
And when you look at that secondary, B, there's so much depth there. And our guys are sitting down on the field. They're going to be talking about the depth at offensive line, but it seems as if we got depth at every position, especially defensive back. This time last year, B, I think we're always sitting there like, dang, who's going to be those starters? Now, the question is who's going to be those starters, but in a very good way because of all of our depth.
Last year, you talk about depth. We was worried about what the guy started going to be okay. But this year, you look at, like you said, you get a healthy Marshawn Lattimore, and he's been healthy this year. You can see him moving a lot better. Also, Harris has come over as well.
Will Harris,
you got a lot of guys now that have played a lot of football.
Yes.
And that's the one thing. I know people talk about, oh, we got the second oldest team in the league. But you know what? You got experience. You got guys that now, like London knows, from week to week, you want to change up some things. And you find out there are some guys who know how to do the basics, but they can't take the added stuff. But you have veteran guys who've been in many different defenses now who will be able to do that. And I'm going back to those big guys. If those big guys get pressure, you will see those little guys make more plays.
And I'm glad you touched on being able to do more. B, you mentioned it, having veteran guys. So what the best defenses that I've been a part of, what we're able to do, we're able to come, especially when it comes to your blitz, your third down packages and blitz scheme, you're able to switch up and add more to the play. So, hey, this offense this opponent, they're prepared for what you did the last 3 weeks. Now we're going to throw some more wrinkles. We're going to throw some changes in the coverage. We're going to throw some changes in our pressure. And you have to have smart guys. You have to have experienced guys to be able to do that between week to week, opponent to opponent.
And in London, we're seeing right now on our live cam, the offensive line, the big boys that smell like bacon, putting in work. But, of course, we're here to talk defense. So let's talk about our defensive line because, B, London mentioned it, that pass rush. A lot of people are wondering what it's going to be like. We have some new faces, some new people, Deatrick Wise, somebody who's bringing Super Bowl experience. How excited are you to see what this new look defensive line can do?
You know, I think everybody was talking about, well, we don't have any pass rush. I'm like, yes, we do. We may not have a guy who has established himself, but every year somebody establishes themselves. And I think when they signed Von Miller, that changed things for me because I know for a fact coaches can say what they want. They can talk to their blue in the face. A lot of guys will never get it. But Von Miller says something, and you get to watch him on a daily basis, you're going to pick up something. If you don't, then you don't need to be on a football team anyway. Von will help. You know, this guy, like you said, I get out of my bed, rushing the passer. He played like 20% of the plays. He still got 6 sacks. Yeah. If you got a guy getting that type of performance and that type of production in that short period of time, those guys that are out there very much, they're going to learn. Now, listen, if somebody doesn't sit there with their notepad and get next to that guy and ask questions, then they're crazy. That will help them out tremendously.
Yeah, you mentioned the pass rush, and one of the keys, I think, having a healthy Jordan McGee, and I'm assuming that, you know, there'll be some situations where if you're able to put Jordan McGee on the field, now you're able to have Frankie Luvu as a true rusher. You got him, you got Von Miller as an edge guy, you got Kinlaw, you got Johnny Newton who can rush the passer. Now you got some guys that can really get out to the quarterback. I think the thing that guys that will benefit the most from adding a Von Miller are your Holmes, your Javonte John Baptiste. I think he was a guy that was kind of scratching the surface a rookie a year ago. He's going to benefit tremendously when you add a guy like Von Miller because you mentioned, hey, it's one thing for a coach to say it, and they got a great pass rushing coach. One of my former teammates, in Ryan Kerrigan, he's a guy, 100-sack guy. He's done it at a high level. But you have Ryan can show you coach you up about it. But then you got Von who can actually go out, execute it, and tell you how he was able to do it. And Frankie's going to benefit from Von. John Baptiste's going to benefit from Von. Holmes, all those guys will benefit from Von, not only on the field but off the field and the experience and that he can teach them.
Then on top of that, we have guys inside who can rush the passer. When people talk about pass rush, they only discuss the edge. Reggie White wasn't on the edge. Chris Jones is not on the edge.
Right. Yeah.
You know, well, look at my man from the Rams wasn't on the edge.
Donald, yep.
And I'm not trying to say those guys are them, but Kinlaw can rush up the middle. Okay, you talked about Newton. He can rush up the middle. Those guys now are causing pressure up the middle. Quarterback has nowhere to step. It's going to help those guys out on the edges a little bit more. And I'm kind of interested in Martin from Tennessee. That kid right there seems to have some type of move that got Ben with him. I want to see what he can do with some better people inside.
Jacob Martin's who you talking about, somebody coming from Chicago. He was actually on that sideline when Jaden Daniels threw that Hail Mary. Now he's in the burgundy and gold. And we talk about things that benefit these guys. Nothing benefits you more than these joint practices, getting to be able to touch other guys on that field. And it's very interesting, London, because we have a Jonathan Jones and a Deatrick Wise, right, who are going to be playing against their former team in joint practices. They left them to come here. London, you have experience in lining up against some of your former teams, man. What is that like, and how does that give you kind of of an advantage having some familiarity with these offenses.
I tell you what, when they saw the schedule come out and they saw that it was on the New England Patriots, they perked up. They circled that. Because for you, I don't care if preseason game, regular season game, when you get an opportunity to compete against guys a team that you played for previously, you want to go out and show them what they're missing. You're pissed off, basically, like, I'm on another team. I should never have been allowed to hit free agency. I can remember we were playing when I left the Rams and went to Buffalo. We played the Rams in preseason. Torrey Holt was a great friend of mine, and we talked before the game, and we were having a little conversation. I tell Torrey, I said, I can't wait to knock your ass out. He said, he looked at me a little in shock. He's like, word? I said, word.
And you know what? Torrey knew he meant it.
He knows
100%. I had 10 tackles and a half in a preseason game.
There's nobody crazier on that football field than our guy, London Fletcher. Chilling here with two future Hall of Famers. Now, we will be at joint practices. We will also be at the preseason game covering that, so make sure you tune into that on WSA 9 or on the radio. And one of the radio guys, Logan Paulson, is standing by on the sideline ready to talk this offensive line. But before we send it to him, let's take a look at our offensive line right now because there were some moves. We got Laramie Tunsil via a trade. We moved Brandon Coleman inside because we drafted Josh Connerly Jr. It is crazy the amount of depth that we are looking at right now, fellas. And the best crew in the world, our guys, the Command Center Podcast, is standing by right now as you look at these amazing views from the field. It's time for Money Views, presented by Bank of America, the official bank of the Washington Commanders. Take it away, fellas.
Thanks, Brian. Brian was just talking about all the offseason acquisitions, Laramie Tunsil, all the depth pieces that they've added, Connerly. How important is that depth this year? Because, we're watching them do drills right now. They're doing the old board drill, step over the board, drive that thing off the ball. Man, it gets me all excited. But, again, Tanner, you talked about this a ton last year, is the lack of depth late in the year. Now it seems like that's changed. Why is that important?
I think it's very important. I think when you look at some of the years that we played, and how constitutional it was. Let me use one of them. To have guys that honestly can really play. It's one thing of having bodies, but when you have guys that can, who've been there before, who've started for other teams, who started for this team before, that's where it all kind of shows up at. And then when you think about last year also when, late in the season, you want to be able to run the football. And I think this year they went out there and said, hey, we're going to make an emphasis of getting some guys in here and keeping some of the guys who was here last year, where when we need to do this late in the game, early in the season, wherever it may be, we have the pieces. We have the guys right here in house. So that's what I think is big for us.
When I look at that offensive line, I look at it and I say I got 8 starters. I got guys like Wiley. I got guys like Trent Scott that started.
Allegretti.
I got guys like Allegretti that started in this league. When these guys come in, the talent doesn't drop off.
It don't drop.
It doesn't drop off, and that's why it's good for Connerly to learn from these guys. These guys that been forced to play guard, been forced to play tackle. Coleman has to play tackle last year. Now he'll be playing guard this year. And the versatility. That's what I do love about this offensive line. They can mismatch these guys wherever they need to. And then if everybody on this offensive line got the attitude that Good Jones got, listen to me. I love his attitude. I love the effort that he gives. I think we got a well-rounded group. And here go the bad part about this offensive line, fellas. We're going to end up cutting some good players. All right, that just happens.
So another thing, Tanner, that I want to talk about is everyone talks about running the football.
Yeah.
But I also look at the pass protection that they bring.
Yeah.
Laramie Tunsil's one of the best. I mean, every year he's top 3 in pass protection. And we got a young quarterback in Jaden Daniels. That just seems like something that's going to really kind of right the ship.
Yeah.
And kind of, I don't know, allow Jaden Daniels to continue to develop.
I mean, I think it's vital. I think when you look back at last year, how Connerly was able to, not Connerly, but Coleman was able to do a great job there being a rookie.
Yeah.
And then you say, okay, we're gonna get even better. For our QB blindside and go out there and get Tunsil.
Yeah.
That just shows you where they at mindset wise. Look, if we can tweak a couple of things here and there, that makes us that much more stout. Think about it too when we talked about Logan last year when we were saying, man, at certain times we saw only 2 or 3 guys into routes. We had to hold guys back in there because we was
tight
playing.
end had to chip. Running back had to chip.
We had to make sure that we got our protection, which they did a great job of doing so. But just think about it now, what we'll be able to do if we can say, you know what? We have enough guys up front to protect our quarterback. Let's put every guy in route who's out there on the field. Man, that's just going to open up things for our offense.
That's so scary because now Cliff Kingsbury can open up the entire playbook, all right, the entire playbook. And that's different, like you said, from last year. He could not open up the entire playbook. So I think it's great that you got this offensive line that gives you a chance. And we learned from the Philadelphia Eagles that if you can't win in trench warfare, you're not giving yourself a true shot to win in this league. And when you got a quarterback as that dynamic as JD5, I think keeping him clean and keeping him healthy going into the year, that's what this offensive line is about. And I think them having all these guys that they can rotate around, I think that gives them a logistically advantage on a lot of teams.
Yeah, and I look at this drill we're working on now, and to me, this is the foundation of running the football, right? It's combinations, right? It's double teams. We're hitting like kind of the physicality moving forward, and I love that like Tana or Fred might have said it, right? Like we're working kind of with different people at different spots. Alec Reddy's working with Biadish, right? We got Connerly working with the backup guard, right? And just and building those relationships is so important, I think, and kind of building, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of a defensive back group, Fred, and that they got to have that chemistry, but not just with the top five.
No,
everybody's got
everybody, because you never know when you need everybody.
Logan, speaking of building those relationships, who's the guy that's basically keeping all those guys intact too? I mean, we don't give enough credit to their coach. I mean, you have a guy in there that has all these guys, and last year we talked about how well they played with not having much, you know.
And don't forget about the Chris Pauls of the world.
Yeah.
I say it's just so much depth.
Yeah, absolutely. And I look at the coaches, Bobby Johnson, Stapleton, and again, like one of the things that you know, like these guys are going through right now, and like you said, Tana, like that's your extra offensive coordinator right there. He's got 5, 10, 15 guys in the room that are super important. And you know, like just getting those guys locked in is really what his job is, right? He's controlling 11 guys in the room. And again, it reminds me of that defensive back room, Fred.
Yeah, and you got to be on one unison. You know, I always use the Borg band group. Like because if we ain't all on the same thing, the show won't go on. The show won't be a great show. And the offensive line gives us a chance to win every game. Like I hate to bring this up because I don't like Philadelphia, but you got to respect their offensive line. You got to respect their tactics. Taking the Mekhi Becton, moving him to guard, and understanding now I'm finna make him a furniture mover in there. Like that's what I think we got. We got a lot of versatile guys that can play a lot of positions.
And I look at like the playoffs last year, and look at the LA Rams, top 5 offensive line. Philadelphia Eagles, top 5 offensive line. The Buffalo Bills, top 5 offensive lines. Detroit Lions, when healthy, top 5 off. It's not a coincidence that those guys drive the ship, Tanner.
And that's why I said it was very intentional with going out there and making sure they went out there and got too early in the free agency and say, hold on, you know, we're going to double down. We're going to double down in the draft and go out there and get this guy JCJ. So, I mean, I can't give them enough credit for going out there and just making sure, because we know that force multiplier that we have back there that's taking those snaps every down, you want to make sure you protect them at all costs.
Yeah, and Fred, let's talk about Connerly a little bit. And I think there's been a lot of rumors about him moving, not rumors, but like kind of conversation about him moving from left to right, kind of the developmental struggles, right? And so can you talk about that a little bit and say why fans shouldn't be worried about that move?
Yeah, you shouldn't be worried. Now, here go think about it. Moving from left tackle to right tackle, your footwork changes. Like now, your left foot is, back, and your right foot is up. Like now, he has to switch that whole thing over. And now, I don't know if he's a right-handed or a left-handed guy, but now his right hand become his strong hand when he been losing his left his whole time. So come on, just be patient. You remember I told y'all last year, let grandma cook. Well, get your butt out the kitchen, because we're going to make sure Connerly is good, and it takes just a little patience. That's why I'm eager to see him at practice against New England, because that's when I get to really grade him. I don't really grade people when you're playing against your teammates, because we know so much about each other that I know your weaknesses, I know your strengths. Let's just be patient and get out of grandma's kitchen.
Also, too, when you have a guy that's so young, man, I mean, you don't. I know nowadays you see more first-round guys getting off the bus and basically starting.
He's 21. He's one of the younger.
He's a baby, man. He's a baby. I remember how I was at 21 years old. I'm talking about wide eyes, boy. I didn't know if I was coming or going. You know what I mean? So I could just imagine what he's going through, knowing that they want you to sit here and learn this offensive line and be able to say, hey, I need you ready for week 1. I care less about what's going on right now. Get all the learning, get toned in right now with all the coaching, with all the, you know, the late night studying now. You do that now in training camp. So by the time we get into the season, then I can look forward to seeing you out there.
Yeah, and I think the other interesting thing is just I get so caught up in the drill work. I love this drill, Fred, because it reminds me a little bit of like DB work. It's just timing, right? Can we be on balance with our hands? And we're striking the back. You see this right here, number 53? Like, can I keep my feet? Can I keep my chest up and not sell the farm on that punch? And it feels like the more I watch these drills, I'm like, the crossover between DB and offensive line is really high.
Here go the thing about it. If your feet and your hands and your eyes don't match, the film don't let you know it. And this is what this drill is saying. Hey, make sure that your head, your waist, and your feet are all on the same level while maintaining that punch. I don't want you to give when you maintain that punch, and I don't want you to lunge. I want you to be right there when you give that punch so it can be strong.
So it's safe to say that offensive linemen are athletic. They have to be gifted, right?
They're some of the best athletes on the field.
Yeah. I've said this before, Fred, and I know we disagree on this, but I think it's harder to play offensive line than it is to play DB, right? Because let me just say this. Let me just say this before you get freaked out now. Because when you look at DBs, man, they got plays off. They got the balls not coming to them. Every down, these guys are mixing it up with the guys that are better athletes. They're doing the same thing. They're going backwards in pass protection. It feels to me like the demands are way, way more challenging for offensive linemen.
All right, I'll say this. If you go play for play, in the game, let's say the offense plays 80 plays. I'm sure those 80 plays at offensive line are a little bit more rigorous than it is in physical. But I can say this: it's hard for a DB to play man coverage against Santana Moss. Santana Moss run you out 50 yards. They run in a toss sweep. I have to turn it back around, run back 40 yards to make a tackle. I have to come and tackle a tight end your size. All I'm saying is DBs had to do a little bit of everything.
Give me this mic back. I'm just saying, when you look at DBs, Tana, there's times where they're not doing anything.
You're right.
You're watching film. Offensive linemen are doing something every single play. And to me, that's why they're the backbone of the team, Tana. And, again, so we talked about Connerly. We talked about, Laramie Tunsil. Let's talk about Wiley and Allegretti. And, Fred, you alluded to them already. I just think having those guys that, obviously Cosme's out right now. But I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about not having a Pro Bowl guard because I trust that Allegretti or Wiley can step in there and make us right.
Yeah, these guys are savvy veterans. They've been here before. These guys played a lot of football. Allegretti came in last year at probably one of the worst times of the season when everything counted a little more and went out there and did his job well. Wiley, we've been talking about this guy for the last few years. You didn't hear nothing from Wiley last year. He did his job. You heard one peep from him. So when you have guys like that on your team that's capable and able to go out there and be starters, guess what? We're not worried. We're not going to have
going
much to
into
say
that
about
offensive line room is like walking into a golden corral. All you can eat, you don't know what to get. No, I'm just telling you.
I like that. I like that analogy.
I got guys everywhere. Like I got legit guys everywhere. Come on, Allegretti. Wow, these guys have played numerous playoffs games, have played championship football, and now you telling me these are your rotational guys? You telling me?
Then you add in the Trent Scott.
Yeah, then you add Trent Scott, which people don't remember this, but Trent Scott caught JD5's first touchdown. So you want to talk about athletes, they can do a little bit of it all. So I'm just saying, I think that room, because I look at the history of this team. When this team was great, when B. Mitch was playing, we had the Hogs, we had Joe Jacoby, we had so many dudes. Like when you win trench warfare, it makes all the little dudes' job a lot easier.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
And again, I love watching these reps. Connerly just went. Love the smoothness. See the athleticism, right? There's still a little bit of size that needs to be put on, but man, his movement skills are tremendous. And again, you're watching the guards go, watching the tackles, it all looks a little bit different. And the other interesting storyline I think about this group is we've talked about Allegretti, Wiley, Biotish. It seems like there's a solid 7 there. And I say, who's that 8th guy? I mean, Trent Scott for sure. Does Chris Paul find his way onto the roster, man?
You never know.
He's kind of been sneaking around with the ones a little bit. The size, he looks like he's trimmed up a little bit, man. Number 75 over there. Looks to be in great shape, Fred. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's like I said this, good teams cut good players. And when you cut good players, that means the players in front of them are that much better. And I don't know. It's going to be a thin line here. I think when it comes to this offensive line, versatility at the bottom of that offensive line going to be everything. How many positions can you play? And when I ask you this, can Chris Paul play guard? Can he play tackle? That's going to give him a chance to make this team.
I think also looking at these guys, and I want to bring it up because we just talked about how athletic these offensive linemen are. When we was in high school, we thought our offensive linemen was big ogres, big sloppy guys. Man, these guys, look at these guys' legs right now. These guys look like they're doing a little something different in the offseason. So, I will add to that now you see a more slimmer, more aerodynamic offensive lineman these days. You don't see the big sloppy guys that we used to have back in our day. But back in those days, too, we ran the ball. We ran the ball a lot more. Now this game is wide open. We're passing the ball.
Well, speaking of big guys, though, the other guy that's kind of going to be that Chris Paul competition, I think, is number 79, Foster Sorrell right here. And Tana, man, that's a big human being, man. And Fred, to your point, the ability to play guard and tackle, he's got it. And so to me, it's kind of like who can kind of figure it out. And I look at this offensive line. We talked about this a little bit off air, and for them to play well, it's obviously important for Jaden Daniels for the run game. But I look at the division, Fred, and I'm like, oh my goodness gracious, right? They have to play well.
Logan, so tell me, it's safe to say that most of the time now when we're scouting for offensive linemen here, they want guys that can do both. You know what I mean? 'Cause I feel like every guy on our line has played another position at once upon a time in their career. So that's what I've been seeing from our lineup.
And they want them to be able to take speed to power and power to speed. They want them to be able to do both. Because when you play the New York Giants, you got Thibodeau, you got Dexter Lawrence, you got a dual Carter. When you play against the Cowboys, maybe you got Michael Parsons. We don't know.
We don't know.
But then you go to like Philadelphia. I don't have to tell you there. So you got to be able to block different type of pass rushes, and we got to have different type of blockers for that. And that's where a guy like Connolly comes in there with his athletic ability. He won't have a problem with the Michael Parsons. The question with him is, how is he going to handle the bigger dudes coming off the edge? And that's something you said. He's 315 pounds. You said, and he can put on some weight. That's it. That's impossible.
It almost looks like they got a fullback over there with number 72 on.
Like a tight end, you know what I mean? And like he can. And it's crazy you were talking about Abdul Carter. Like his best game of his college career was against Abdul Carter.
Wow.
Right. So he's got that. He's got that skill. I think that's a great point because he can move. It's just, and when you watch him in practice, right? It's the Dietrich Wises, it's the Cleveland Farrells, those big, powerful defensive ends. So I think as he develops, that's going to be awesome to see. But man, it's a really exciting group. And again, like, are you worried about like the fact there's no Coleman? Are you worried about the fact that Coleman got nicked in practice the other day? Like,
I'm not. That's where the depth come in there. Like I feel so good about a Trent Scott going right in there, a Wiley going right in there, like a Allegretti going right in there. We're not gonna miss a beat. Bobby Brown left the group. So what? Come on in, Johnny Gill. Come on in, Johnny Gill. The show must go on, and that's what you like about this group.
No, great point. I mean, I just feel like when you have the kind of depth that they have and you have the kind of leadership they have, that's something that you worry less of, you know?
Yeah, and again, like right now they're working kind of this hand replace drill. And again, you talked about Coach Johnson and his ability to develop talent. Like that's what we're seeing here, right? Like we're not running. Everything here that they've done in this 15-minute period was technical development, right? Putting themselves in better positions to be successful. And Fred, I think about that. Obviously for the offensive line, but for the entire team, Tana, and why we talk about with the receivers, why is that so important?
Well, you saw last year. Last year they went back to fundamentals. You talk about fundamental. I mean, we watched them in practices a couple of times where they was just making sure they put their head placement on the right side of the body. So that's what you got to do. Pay attention to detail, and when you do that, you can go and fly around and play football better. Yeah,
and again, like to me, this is the most exciting position group on the field, and we could talk about these guys literally all day because I think it's going to drive the run game, the pass game, JD5's development. But we got another show to do, right? We got to do the rest of the show. So Brian, back to you guys, and we can talk O-line all day.
Getting it done, and speaking of being on that field, getting it done. Me and the fellas will be out on that field this Friday out in New England for our very first preseason game. Now, kickoff is set for 7:30 p.m. out in New England. You can catch the game on WSA 9 or listen live on Big 100. But also, make sure to check your local listings because the game will be available in a lot of different places. And fellas, we will be out in Foxborough, out in New England for the game. London, you'll be doing the radio crew, man. Y'all killed it last year. The best radio crew, you and Brand Weinstein, man. How excited are you to be back as the voice of the Burgundy and Gold?
Yeah, man, extremely excited. You can't forget Logan Paulson, the third member
Logan
of
Paulson.
our crew.
Yep.
You know what? After last season, you couldn't wait to just get this season going. People ask me about, man, how do I feel about the job I do? I say, I love it. I absolutely love it. Me as a former player, I think the next best thing would be coaching, but if you can't coach, call games for the team that you root for, and there's nothing like it, with just the anticipation of the encore performance of what we were able to accomplish a year ago. Let's see what this 25 version of the Washington Commanders look like. I can't wait to get it started Friday night in New England.
For me, it's like preseason with the broadcast booth too. You did it all last year. You got into a flow. You loved everything that was going on, and then you go away for a little bit. You get some new faces, some new names. And you got to begin to go through that and try to hone your skills and get it back to where things just flow.
Got to work out some kinks.
Yeah, at night I'm at home looking at the roster, trying to make sure I got the names and stuff going. So, but you know what? The excitement that they gave us last year, you can only expect the same thing to happen this year. So I just want to see them out on the field. I understand starters probably don't play much at all, but you start seeing the next guys that are going to be coming because what they gave us last year, If you're not hungry for it this year, you don't know what the hell football is about, because that was special last year.
And I think we are all hungry to see our guys on the field. I will be on the sideline reporting for WSA 9. B, like he said, will be in the booth, and London will be doing the radio. Fellas, man, it is going to be a fun week. We will be going out to joint practice against the New England Patriots and giving y'all a special joint practice command center. Until then, I'm Brian Colbert Jr. here with Brian Mitchell, London Fletcher. Shout out to Logan Paulson, Fred Smoot, and Santana Moss for holding it down on the field. We'll catch y'all Thursday on Command Center.